Hey everyone, welcome to FPL the Onion, episode 49. On tonight's episode, it's the usual at the moment, myself, Shlee, and Nick. How are we doing this evening, Nick?
Good evening, everyone. Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad at all. Same before, I had a migraine for about 4 or 5 hours today, so that was fun, but seems to have broken now. But I haven't spent that much time looking at player moves and things like that. So I'm looking forward to getting your thoughts, Shlee, on what I should do this week.
Yeah, another week of lots of permutations. We're recording on Wednesday night during the United game. Looks like it's Varane own goal for 2-0, which we've just been looking at what's been going on. So yeah, is Casemiro and his red card affecting United, or is it just Leeds bounce with Marsh going? Some pretty crazy scores going on.
Probably a bit of both, but it's a shame because United again, they had some pretty good results over the weekend and closed the gap again. But this is a big setback, isn't it, at Old Trafford? So
yeah, yeah, and what a crazy week. Yeah, my transfers have not gone so well. You rolled, obviously got the old Kane keep with his goal, which is pretty nice. But you didn't. Obviously, you were pretty trapped last week when you didn't go Bruno, and that was bad over the weekend. But tonight, so far, at least from that point of view, is good.
Yeah, it's fun, isn't it? It's just how I was pretty annoyed on the weekend not to have forced Bruno into my team. The one way that I could have done it for just a -4 would have been KDB to Bruno and then Martial to free up the United spot to Nonto. And obviously Nonto didn't do anything on the weekend, so I was like, okay, fine. That wouldn't have been the move, but he's obviously scored tonight, and I think it was on for full 3 bonus last time we checked. But yeah, it's I was pretty trapped, and actually Kane's return, I was hoping for a KDB return as well. And when he came off the bench for City, he was there. I thought he was their best player, so I'm pretty hopeful he's going to start in the next game, and hopefully both games in the double. But yeah, Kane, it's just like I was saying last week, it was good. Obviously Kane scoring was great, but again, he had a couple more chances as well. Like he was clean through again and hit it straight at Edison, and you just think it could be so much better, and there'd be such big differentials in those moments. I think a few people would have or some people were asking, I remember asking Planet FPL James if they should bench Kane against City, because obviously they see that kind of fixture. But yeah, and obviously Martial not kind of showing up for either of the 2 games in the double, even though he, when we were recording last week, he came off the bench and scored. We didn't get any kind of adverse news at all. And then for him, the team sheets are revealed, and then Ten Hag's like, oh yeah, he's suffered a setback. So, well, thanks for that information.
Yeah,
it's just so frustrating, but
total troll at the moment. I mean, I can see that the Kane sort of benching query had come up because there were a lot of good fixtures last week. People, Matoma, he was at home, he scored.
Yeah,
a lot of Fulham players. I suppose Chelsea didn't know what they were going to do, but yeah, he's so talismanic, and Spurs' record at City is really good, isn't it?
yeah,
I think it was away last season. Yeah, I think I had him around this time of the season. He got a brace, so tricky, but yeah, I mean, gunning towards that record now, got it. I was saying to you that the one thing I didn't look at when I was umming and ahhing about the transfers was their form, and it's something like 20 points difference between Kane and De Bruyne since the World Cup. So in hindsight, that was a daft move. But I was saying to you as well that yeah, you sort of have it in your head, and I did those calculations last week, and it looked like it was the thing to do. And you see a lot of people doing the same move as well, and you're like, oh, this has totally cemented my opinion. But at least in terms of last week, it was 1 step forward, 1 back. I removed Kane's 8 and got Bruno's 10. Okay, that's good.
yeah.
But now I kind of really want Kane back.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, isn't it? Because our opinions shouldn't change this much, but they do just seem to change based on the last result. Because I was gutted not to have Bruno on the weekend. Obviously, he gets the penalty, which I guess shows that for now he's on penalties, but maybe he's sharing them with Rashford. But United losing 2-0 at the moment to Leeds at home. They're playing Leeds in the next game, but it'll be away. I mean, yeah, I'm definitely not going to go kind of. Even some people who have got Bruno this week are obviously thinking about moving him to De Bruyne or Salah, but some people saying, oh, now because he scored, we should keep him. And De Bruyne is obviously not doing very well, neither Salah. But yeah, I'm quite glad that I don't have Bruno at the moment, but I was pretty gutted not to have him on the weekend. So
apparently that was his only XG. The penalty was apparently his only involvement. Yeah, maybe not XA, but only shot apparently. So yeah, good that he's on pens. But I was a bit surprised actually before I started looking at stuff. A lot of people saying they were thinking of Bruno out, and I know the blank's coming, but the fixtures are great before that, aren't they? And yeah, form dipped a bit tonight, but United are on fire. I don't know, I don't see it.
No, I know, but then they have also got the blank in 25, haven't they? So I have got to think about who I'm going to ship, and so I think Martial, just being so injury prone, I'm sure he'll come back, probably be back for the Leeds game, and Weghorst still hasn't done anything. So I imagine Martial goes straight back in when he's fit, but he just, you just wouldn't put it past him just breaking down again, would you? So
yeah, no, I think now, especially with 2 free transfers, you got to get rid.
Yeah, I think so. But the trouble is, and we'll see it later, but it's not that obvious what to do because there's no kind of really, really obvious move. It seemed like it was Nketiah, but now Jesus is back. So,
well, is he any more back than last week?
Yeah, I mean he's back in full training, and I think he's been in full training for a week. So,
right, I hadn't seen that. When did that come out?
Yeah, I think it was on. I think there was a picture of him on Friday. I think he's back in. He wasn't obviously he wasn't in the squad, but he is back in full training, and so it might not be now. But there's also obviously the other double in 25. So some of the moves I'm looking at potentially even switching White out and getting in a slightly more reliable Arsenal defender, and just having the what I see as the best 3 Arsenal players for these 2 doubles and very, very good run of fixtures. But yeah, then it's like, okay, fine. If I'm going to do that, who am I going to go to from Martial? So I don't know whether I'm still just considering getting Nketiah in because I just don't expect Jesus to be back, like straight back in the team. But I know that it's going to become a problem later because they're not going to both play together. So
with every week it becomes a bit more of a risk. But like you say, there's 5 fixtures in the next 3 game weeks. It would be pretty sweet to get the Arsenal assets right, and Nketiah has been great. How quick are they going to rush back Jesus? But I didn't know about that news, so that is a bit of a bummer.
Yeah, that is annoying. That so I'm not really sure what to do with it, but we can chat about that later.
It was funny today. Yeah, I heard I think it was Praz saying that now with these 25 fixtures being released, some people are like, I don't know what to do. I'm not prepared for 25, and he was saying, well, no one's now prepared for 25 because it's such a rare occasion you have a blank and a double. And it being announced 3 game weeks before it happens, there's quite a lot of carnage coming up. So
yeah, it is. It's nice to have 2 free transfers, but I'm even tempted to. I have to see how it goes. But one thing I was looking at was the fact that in 25, because I am going to still have United and Newcastle players, or Manchester United and Newcastle United players, it's just kind of how I manage that, because my bench being kind of Andreas, Bueno, and Patterson. Patterson might be back by then, but he might not get in the team. So I could just do Patterson to Rico Lewis and put for City, and just kind of put him in. Hope he gets 1 or 2 of these doubles, and then he plays in 25. So
okay.
I don't know. It's kind of because he's 3.9, and so is because I'm still 0-0. But I might just use 1 transfer this week, just bench Martial for this week, and then and then kind of see what's what next week.
Okay, come to your team in a bit. I was looking at it last night, and I thought I had an obvious transfer suggestion. So I hope it comes to me because I didn't write it down. That's what I'm trying to say when I see your team, it comes to me again. But yeah, we're recording on the Wednesday when these extra fixtures have come in. So Arsenal have now got a double in 25, as have Liverpool, which is pretty interesting because obviously their form has been atrocious, but a double in a week, especially when Bruno blanks and KDB's maybe got Champions League around then, albeit a good fixture. Just a single. People are looking at a switch to Salah maybe. Wolves have got Wolves and Everton with a double. Not as interesting, but like you say, Patterson, people going on Tarkowski, maybe people with Bueno if they can get a double fixture. That's going to be quite interesting.
Yeah, although he lost his place, didn't he?
Yeah.
Which is a bit annoying.
Mori might be him.
Yeah, super
annoying. Okay, let's. We're trying to keep this one short tonight. Let's see how we go. Quick look at the Onion League. I think Raj Conwar has stopped playing because he's dropped out I mean, me moving up with 52 is a bit embarrassing because I didn't have a great week. Bogdan Petrovic, 85, absolutely amazing score. Mark Bleakley at the top. Just have a look at his team quickly. 66 solid. I think he's gone from 23rd to 24th in the world. He did, as we thought last week, De Bruyne to Fernandes for a free. Yeah, team's still looking pretty good. Kepa, Gabriel, solid Arsenal pick. He hasn't got any other Arsenal attackers, I think we said last week. And obviously he's lost his triple City, but he's got triple United for this week. Tony's pretty unlucky with. So yeah, still doing really well. Don't know, what would you do there? Just quickly looking at his team. It's hard to see without the fixtures coming up. Would you just do hokey cokey Fernandes back to De Bruyne? Would you prioritise, say, Arsenal mids, assuming he's got the wrong one?
Yeah, maybe. I wouldn't rush back to De Bruyne when he's got Mahrez in there as well, but I guess he hasn't got 3 City. It's just City, I don't know. I mean, yeah, De Bruyne could go off big time, couldn't he? So
doesn't have triple Arsenal, so he could. I suppose he could go Fernandes to Saka quite easily. Maybe that's the better play with the double
with the
coming up.
double. Yeah, that could be the better move.
Keep that, Mark. Don't listen to us.
Indeed.
Right, so you were on top last week, 58, rolled the transfer, Andreas to come off the bench, and yeah, tonight you've got Rashford and White and Shaw, which, given the year, is kind of nothing, is it? You're not going to gain much from that.
No, and it's funny how Shaw, whenever I've owned Shaw, he has never ever done well for me. And I think I looked when I brought him in. Maybe I had him back in the restart, but I think he just hasn't really done much for me at all. In fact, I don't think I did have him after the restart because I just remember thinking, well, he's never done well for me before. But then I think United started with a couple of clean sheets, and I thought, right, I'll get him in. But
he had 3 clean sheets in a row, didn't he? And he had the goal. He had a 15-pointer. I got him in the week after.
Yeah, and I definitely didn't have him for that. So I think I probably brought him in after that, thinking, right, they've got the double, might as well get him in. But he's been pretty disappointing again.
Well, United have just scored, apparently.
Have
Not
they?
sure who yet.
Hope it is not Fernandes.
That's the thing, isn't it? Tonight, yeah, you're hoping it's not that.
I really need it to not be Fernandes. If it is, pretty devastating. It's probably a red arrow after a pretty good start to the game week. But yeah, I was. The role looked like it done pretty well. Is it Rashford? Okay, that's also not great for me. With all
no, it's not. Triple captains absolutely smashed it.
It's kind of good. It's good enough for me in that I think he's not at 200% at my rank, so I do get a bit of a gain, but not much. But it is, as you say, it's just kind of having wasted the triple captainship last week on Haaland, or week before last on Haaland. Yeah, obviously it's pretty gutting to have not, because I think if I hadn't done it on Haaland, given Rashford's form, I would have done it this week. But
yeah,
there we go. Went early with that, but yeah, congratulations to anyone who triple captain Rashford, like my cousin Rob, who also listens to this. He's one of the few people who listens to it every week. So thanks to Rob. But yeah, he'll be flying up our mini league. So yeah, obviously the biggest highlight I think was Kane getting that goal, but he could have had a bit more, and that would have been massive. Nobody was expecting the ridiculous Arsenal blank across the board. Kind of affected everybody pretty similarly, but I kind of need those guys really to carry this team at the moment. I don't think anybody really expected De Bruyne not to play against Spurs. Pep seems to be kind of overthinking it again at the moment, but maybe he and the club have got kind of bigger problems going on than winning football matches. But yeah, it's just a bit frustrating because it kind of was a mixed week in that by rolling, none of the people that I didn't really go for other than Bruno really did in the thing. So that was nice. But the players I had haven't really covered themselves in glory. Obviously, I've kind of skipped over Kepa. He's been absolutely incredible in the 3 weeks after I considered getting Edison in for City's double. So glad I didn't do that. Sorry, Shlee.
I think that's about 25-point swing as well. I mean, he's got 29, isn't he, in 3 games? What is it, 10, 9 and 10? And yeah, Edison's just got 1s and 2s. Absolutely crazy.
I was listening to Planet FPL, and Suj was saying that, even if he'd just got 3 clean sheets, owners would have been absolutely delighted. That would have only been 18 points. So to have got 29,
I know, It's a
Like
bit like the
11
Ward thing, isn't it? Like he just
two.
had that ridiculous run, and you just think it's not surely going to keep up. I think his pass completion is quite good, so I don't know, maybe it is. But this often happens, and Edison, in hindsight, again, it's such a stupid move. Like, big club. I know 5.5. They're a lot cheaper than they were a few seasons ago. Like I think premiums were sort of 6.5.
Mm.
But it's always someone around that price, isn't it? Like look at Ramsdale last season. I know you didn't jump on him that early, but he was 4.5, brilliant season. Ward
Yeah.
is cheap there. It's rarely someone a big club keeper that just like rolls out 10 clean sheets
Yeah, but I
in
think
12 or
you probably
something.
weren't. You probably didn't get him in thinking you're going to keep him for the rest of the season, did you? You were just looking at the fact they had a good double, and they're
Maybe.
usually a ridiculously stingy defense because they never lose the ball. Like it's difficult to score against them because you never have the ball. But they've lost their aura, haven't they? Like
Yeah, totally.
Cancelo
Yeah.
going, and they haven't had a consistent defensive, team sheet for the whole season, which again is strange because in Pep's time, generally he's had his favourites and they've played most weeks.
Yeah.
They just haven't been able to get that consistency. So,
But the other thing is as well that million is actually quite big. I mean, it's not like Kepa is 0.5 or a bit less than Edison. It's a full million, which actually
no,
for
I
someone
know.
poor team
Yeah,
value like that is actually quite constraining. So yeah, it was good move if it was a bit lucky to hold him. But yeah, what a result.
yeah,
And
exactly.
was
So
it
again,
Darlow assist apparently? Was it definitely
yeah,
Nonto you would have gone for had you tried to squeeze in Fernandez? You'd have to do
not
Nonto to have
not
avoided
not
it.
definitely, but it was probably the most sensible move because it was just it's funny. I'll happily admit that the reason I didn't consider it more because I'd considered it quite early when Nonto was kind of getting in the team and was playing a lot, and obviously at his price, I was thinking that he's a bargain basically. Kind of I'm a sucker for a bargain, especially up front. But I just thought it's Leeds. They're not really doing that well. He's kind of got a couple of returns, but I think some of them was one of them in the FA Cup maybe. But I just thought it'll be one of those where I'll get him in. He won't really do much, and then it'll be a bit of a dead spot. But it was the only move that I think I could reasonably have done in just two moves and just a -4 because everything else. I think the thing that also blinded me to it was Nketiah because I was like, oh, he's the one that I really want, but he was obviously impossible to get because of the Arsenal having triple Arsenal. But yeah, I think sensibly, if I had done it sensibly, he would have been the one. But he blanked on the weekend, and I was thinking, yeah, that wasn't the right move. But I didn't necessarily expect him to get anything at Old Trafford tonight, and then he scored inside 90 seconds, I think it was, or something. So, yeah, bit annoying, but now, and this is the other thing, right? This is the other reason why I felt quite good on the weekend until De Bruyne didn't start against Spurs, is that Fernandez could have gone bigger than just kind of the one return. Obviously, Rashford outscored him, so I'm still glad that I'd captained Rashford. I think if I'd got Bruno in, I probably would have captained him. But now I'm kind of happy to still have De Bruyne. So.
Well, okay. I didn't know if you got Bruno in, you would have captained him.
I
Did we
think
really
I
talked
may
about
have
that
done.
last
Yeah,
week?
I think I may
Wow.
have done. Maybe I would have bottled it, but I was kind of umming and ahhing about whether I would have captained him. But that would have been pretty devastating, wouldn't it? If
Yeah.
Rashford.
Did you watch that United Palace game?
No, I didn't know. Was it 3:00 game?
Oh yeah, I think so. Yeah,
3:00.
true. Yeah, okay. Okay, quickly go through my team. Yeah, I had 2 free transfers. I did the Kane out move. Obviously, in hindsight, and it could have been worse than 8 points, but that was super annoying. I'm worried about him going forward, having sort of shoehorned him in a few weeks ago as part of a -8 the week. I've got Edison as well for Kepa. I mean, those transfers just are terrible, as do these kind of. And I'm really torn what to do now, whether to think soon he came back or almost to just completely ignore him and jump on these other doubles that are there. It's really tricky. Obviously, really happy that Fernandez got the pen if that was his only involvement. But yeah, I've got quite a few issues which we'll come to in a bit. But yeah, Edison, lack of Kepa, lack of Kane, with those two really high ownership. 52 is pretty low this week. Obviously Martinelli 59th minute. Yeah, there's a couple of ones in there that other people are going to have threes and stuff. Like Matoma as well has been staring at us both in the face for a bit. He just returned again, albeit 87th minute. It's
yeah.
not great. So I am sliding. I'm sliding.
Yeah, the thing about Matoma, and it was super annoying when he scored because he's just one of those where as soon as I'm sure it'll happen that as soon as it feels right to get him in and we get him in, it'll feel like everybody's got him at that point. So it's kind of like, you trip along and it because of blanks and doubles and everything else, he's not the priority, but because obviously Brighton blank in 25 as well. But yeah, it's just annoying, isn't it? Because he is obviously a really, really good player.
But it's one of those where is it obvious not to get him in? I agree in terms of fixtures, but is this one of those where, I mean, he's got 2 fixtures till the blank. Palace this week is really good. One of my options I've got is getting Matoma in, but it would be for swapping him for Fernandes, and you think, well, those two against each other, that doesn't seem right because they both blank. I mean, well, I suppose
yeah,
maybe
but if you are going to swap a player for somebody who does blank in 25, you better make sure it's one of your players who already does blank in 25.
Yeah, true. That's what I was just thinking. Actually, maybe that's not as bad, but removing someone that blanks, you'd think, especially if you got the opportunity to bring someone in that doubles, that would be much better. But
I know, and that's the thing. So that I just think, now that those fixtures, the doubles have dropped in 25, it would be silly to bring Matoma in when you could be bringing in somebody who's going to double.
yeah, someone might, if
Ooh,
John's back now.
United have scored again.
Oof.
2-2. I can't see on the BBC who it is, but it's on Sancho. Wow. Come on, United. That would be amazing if they win 3-2 from 2-0 down. That'd be amazing. Who got the assist?
Bruno.
That's great. So I've just seen on the BBC website that because apparently Luke Ayling's just like before United scored had a shot from 30 yards that just kind of like whistled over the bar, and the commentary or the comment on the BBC website is if only this game was on TV. And I've just checked on the app, it's not even on. Like,
no,
it's criminal. That's criminal. That is. United leads on a Wednesday night at Old Trafford under the lights. It's not even on TV. That is ridiculous.
I know. I was listening to Clash of the Correspondents this week with Mark and Damien, I want to say. Can't remember the Fulham correspondent's name. And it was quite funny because Mark was saying that they're going to do a watch along tonight on Black Box, and obviously James with his ridiculous football knowledge was like, "Oh, are you going to be watching it illegally then?" And Mark was like, "I don't think so. I'm going to watch it on TV." James was like, "No, it's not being shown, mate." Like, "Oh, we won't do that then." I think they're a bit above board to do that sort of thing.
Yeah, indeed. They watch a lot of football.
Okay, here we are for next week. Hopefully this is the right team for you.
Yeah,
what are you thinking?
That looks like it. So, I mean, it looks pretty good. I mean, again, I know you were saying it's nice when you listen to content creators and they've got a very similar team to you. I think Suj has got a very, very similar team to mine.
Okay.
And he mentioned this week, because James was asking me if he was going to play Pereira, because it's obviously Forest at home. He's like, well, other than double game week players, the only single game players that I could swap him for are Trippier, Shaw, Rashford, and Kane. I don't think he got Martial. I don't think he has, but that's that thing where you look at it and think, actually, my team looks really good for this week, and I've got 2 free transfers, so I'm feeling pretty good about that. I think because Martial just isn't even in the squad tonight, I think I have got to get rid of him, and I think the fact that United blank at 25 makes that even easier to do. But as I was saying before, because the one thing I could do is I could go Martial down to a 4-5 and then upgrade Andreas to somebody like Matoma, and then just bench the forward. But then again, I've got that issue in 25 where Matoma blanks, obviously Trippier blanks, and Shaw and Rashford blank, and Bueno's not in the team. Patterson's coming back from injury, so I just cannot afford a Matoma transfer. I don't think. I've just got to.
I was going to say, worst case, how many have you got blanking in 25? 6, if you assume no Bueno, no Patterson, 3 United, that's 5, and Trippier, 6.
6, yeah.
Okay.
6 blanking.
And you got 3 transfers, no 4 because you rolled 1.
I've got 4. So that's the thing. I mean, I really have to focus on, I think, getting players who. I mean, obviously, the one thing we haven't spoken about yet is that Fulham are playing in the FA Cup tonight and are winning. And were they 2-0 up?
So let's finish 3-2.
Finish 3-2. They won 3-2. Okay.
Yeah.
So that means, and I was trying to figure this out, but it means that if they had lost, it would mean that Liverpool Fulham would definitely have been on in 28?
Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously 28 is the week where, because it's a blank for the teams that are still in the FA Cup, people are kind of looking at potentially free hitting that week. So if you've still got your free hit, kind of looking to play it in 28. But I'm going to try not to play it in 28, as I think a lot of other people are going to try not to do as well, so they can use it in 29, which is when we're getting another big double game week. So it would have been really nice to know whether Liverpool were going to play for sure in 28, because they double in 25. So you could bring in Liverpool players, and then they would, if they had a fixture in 28, then you wouldn't need to worry about them blanking and kind of not being able to field as many as kind of you can. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. And as we were kind of saying before, do we want to prioritize getting Liverpool players when at the moment you just cannot see where their form is going to come from? But we just have to remember that, Salah has been one of the best players the Premier League's ever seen, and that doesn't just go away overnight. And he's got a good double in 25. So I don't know at the moment. The kind of options I'm looking at, so I guess very quickly, is kind of Martial out to Nketiah, and then I can go like White down to Tarkowski or Rico Lewis. Tarkowski hasn't got a very good fixture. Is it Arsenal this week? No, it's not Arsenal, is it? Who have they
Liverpool
got?
away.
That's it.
Anfield,
Liverpool away. So obviously that's not great, although some people are saying that it's probably quite a good time to play Liverpool.
Yeah.
And Everton are the new Burnley. But I don't love that this week. But then obviously Everton have got a double in 25, so that's pretty nice, and apparently guaranteed fixture in 28 as well. So that is pretty attractive. But I feel like Nketiah is going to lose minutes to Jesus when he comes back, so that doesn't feel great. And obviously I'm kind of moving Ben White to Nketiah because I'm a bit worried about White's minutes, because Tomiyasu's back and he's kind of had some minutes off him. So I could also do kind of White to get. The one thing I was looking at was, instead of doing Nketiah and Rico Lewis in, so kind of triple City, it's still a very risky City move. But having watched a little bit of the Spurs City game, I still think he looks like one of their best players, and I think Pep should be playing him.
Lewis is sorry. Oh, sorry, go on.
Is Alvarez.
Oh, blimey. Right, okay.
So what I could do is I could do White. I could do White to Gabriel and Martial to Alvarez for this City double. But it's a pretty kind of out there move, because Alvarez could just not play.
Yeah, I don't really see that. I don't know the in-depth De Bruyne stuff. I'm sure Black Box and stuff will cover it, but I thought it was, De Bruyne hasn't played versus a back three, and Alvarez was in there instead of De Bruyne. So if you're bringing in him, yeah, you kind of are guaranteed to get one of the two, but you're probably not going to get two of the two.
Yeah, and so let me take a quick look at that. So De Bruyne's minutes, and it's probably going to be borne out. So in the last three games, so the second fixture of 20, 21, 22, De Bruyne's minutes are 0, 76, 31, and Alvarez's 90, 29, 90.
Yeah.
So
it is almost the opposite. So
it is almost the opposite, except for the Spurs game where De Bruyne has come on, but they're obviously chasing that game as well, right? So yeah, I agree. It is risky. I just think Alvarez is really good, and he had some really nice touches against Spurs and some good shots on goal, and he just seems pretty dangerous to me. But they're never going to take. It's not going to be like they're going to take Haaland out and put Alvarez in, right? So
yeah. How much cheaper is Nketiah than Martial?
He's not cheaper. He's more expensive. Which is why I would have to go White down to, if I wanted to do that.
Okay. The only City defender you could afford from White would be Lewis.
Yeah.
I quite like that. I definitely don't like the Alvarez one.
Fair enough.
The one I was thinking of, do you want to hear my sixpence?
Yeah, sure.
White to Gabriel, Martial to Brennan Johnson. Who plays
yeah,
in 25
I did look at that as
28.
well, but the thing is, they don't double, do they? So it's kind of like Brennan Johnson is on good form, but I don't think, because wasn't Forest's think the stat was that
West
Forest
Ham
Forest
25.
won that game on the weekend 1-0 with the lowest XG of any team that's won a football match in the Premier League this season.
Oh wow, I didn't hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did hear it was a. I don't. I think, was it a half volley? It was a clinical finish from Johnson.
Yeah, it was
wasn't
a brilliant goal, but it was like apparently they didn't really have any other chances, and yet it was a really low XG goal. So they kind of won that game with the lowest XG
Okay.
of anyone else. So it doesn't. It's one of those things. I feel like you could get Brennan Johnson in, a bit like Almiron, where you get him in and then suddenly his kind of form just dries up a little bit, and that's it.
Pretty good fixtures. I've got them 6th over the next 6. I mean, City are in there. It's pretty tough. Everton, they're a different.
And Newcastle.
Yeah, true. But their XG and form must be pretty good, and it's their home form that's good. So actually, their tricky fixtures are at home. So that is maybe a bit worrying.
Yeah,
but he's 5.6. Yeah, he's an Almiron sort of price, but he's going to play, and he helps you for 25 and 28.
I feel like I'm just burning up my. It's a good suggestion, but I feel like it's kind of burning up my 2 free transfer because I'm basically moving an Arsenal defender to an Arsenal defender, and I'm moving Martial to just a single game week playing forward.
Yeah, true. But then you haven't got that many big fires, so, and that's what makes it harder in a way. You've got the right Arsenal mids. You've got nailed Kane. You're not going to get rid of De Bruyne. The only spots in your starting 11 that are wrong is, I mean, Martial's the really big fire.
Yeah.
Although Andreas is a pretty good. I mean, I suppose if you could roll this week, you maybe would, because you just play Andreas instead, and you'd have a pretty good team. But second fire in there is probably White, isn't it? And if you've got the 2 frees,
that's it. I'm definitely not going to burn the transfer.
No,
definitely not. I'm definitely not going to burn the transfer.
But it indicates that you have got a good team, because if you could roll, you probably would, right? It's a decent 11.
I think I would. So if I only had 1 free transfer this week, I probably would just play Andreas instead of Martial.
Yeah.
Or I probably would just keep Martial in the basis that if he comes in, he's probably going to play. But yeah, he's probably more likely to just be benched first, isn't he, rather than be rushed back.
Unless you did just Bueno to Lewis. Unless Bueno's dropped 3.8 and play him instead of Martial. I probably wouldn't play Martial.
Why not Patterson? Just because you think Patterson's got a chance of coming back in the team when he gets back?
Yeah, I guess so. But true, Patterson. Yeah, could do either, I suppose.
Because I think in a way I do need to prioritize. When you say fires, I think it is quite annoying that there isn't kind of something better in terms of. I think White is a bit, even White to Gabriel is a bit of a kind of sideways move. And I don't love the idea of going White to somebody like Tarkowski or like even somebody like Rico Lewis or those guys, because they're not guaranteed minutes. And, obviously Tarkowski's got a single game this week. So I think White probably stays, but it's then I'm just stuck on funds, aren't I? But if there was a decent forward who was, I mean, I guess we've just named Brennan Johnson, but if there's a decent forward who was a lot cheaper, then that would make it easier. But I think you're right. I think maybe the move is just Bueno or Patterson. I think probably Patterson.
Need to just check they haven't dropped. Yeah, but that would be. Yeah, you're right though. If there was a better striker around 5 that maybe played 25 and 28 but didn't double, like Nonton would be good. But I think he is probably. Oh, he might play in 28. It's likely, but not confirmed. But he does play in 25 as well, so maybe Nonto isn't a bad shout. But then for another 0.5, I think I would prefer Johnson. Well, although given March has gone, maybe that is going to give him a lease of life.
Yeah, and I'm just looking in terms of doublers in 25. Liverpool no, Wolves no, Everton no. It's not great, is it? I need to think about it. I think I'm really kind of blocked with Martial. Like he kind of blocked me this week. I'm really annoyed that I've still got him.
Gabriel's XG again from Burning Questions is really high.
I know. That's the other reason why I think
goal threat. That's why I don't see it as very sideways. If it was a fully playing White who can get a cheeky assist and is kind of solid-ish and 4.6, I would say it's sideways. But now it's minutes threatened White, and it's not a massive fire, but you've got the luxury of fixing a small fire because you've got 2 frees and you might need to move funds about a bit. So,
yeah, I know.
tricky.
I know. No, you're right. You're right. And that's the thing, because Gabriel is just so much more nailed, isn't he? There's nobody who's going to come in and take his place.
Yeah.
And he's going to start. Whereas even if you just lose one of those games from
Yeah,
White,
and it's not like you go into a non-attacking nail. You know, he's not a wing back, but he has got that threat. So
no,
yeah.
the other one they were talking about was Max Kilman, and again, no goal threat, but I think he's 4.2 or 4.3.
Yeah.
So then I could have Nketiah instead of Martial, and then just have Kilman there, and obviously they've got the double in 25.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's so difficult because this is the issue with being tripled up on teams and having 0-0 in the bank. It just cuts down.
But a defensive transfer is what I'm thinking as well, because you've got a similar situation to me. Let's say both your fourth and fifth defenders don't play at the moment. Even if this was for a -4, you'd be getting 2 of those points back. And with an Everton defender, say you're talking about Tarkowski, I mean he's definitely nailed, but he's not yet that exciting. Maybe a fluky 15-pointer, but you're almost getting those 4 points back instantly, because in 25 you're going to have a 0 person playing, and you're going to get hopefully 2 2s from him. That's paid it back already. So you could do Bueno to. I mean, I quite like the idea of maybe you have Tarkowski and Patterson back, and they've got a double, albeit quite hard, and it might come off. Leeds at home, but sorry, Villa at home, Arsenal away.
Would you keep Patterson then? Do you think Patterson comes straight back in the team? Been out for a long time, hasn't he?
True. I'm maybe a bit blinded because I've got him, and therefore there's no way I'm getting rid. And Doherty's my other one, so goodbye Doherty for sure. But yeah, if I had Bueno, I'm not sure. That's tricky.
Yeah, I'd be more inclined to get rid of Patterson and see if Bueno comes back in. But obviously they've just had that result against Liverpool to 0, so he's probably not just going to throw him. Yeah, he's not just going to throw him back in, isn't he? I think I need to prioritize those. But in a way, I need a cash cow, don't I? Maybe Martial down to somebody. Yeah, because how much is Brennan Johnson? 5'7", is he?
Something like that, yeah.
Because I kind of need funds to upgrade both Bueno and Patterson to people like Tarkowski and I don't know. I guess one of them could be Rico Lewis, I guess, but I just don't think he's going to play every game. So it'd be better off going for like Kilman and Tarkowski, wouldn't I? And having like guaranteed players to double in that game week. But I need to find
that would be quite tight on money, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be pretty tight. But maybe that's the thing to do, is to do Martial to Brennan Johnson, and then Bueno to, which one's the one to prioritize? I guess maybe it is just Martial to Brennan Johnson this week, and then roll the other transfer, and that gives me kind of maximum flexibility for next week.
Yeah, cool. You're right. The Johnson's downside. It is dawning. You're right to come back to Johnson's fixtures, though. They're not that exciting. He's a cash cow, like you say. But I don't know. Forest, they've got a good feel about them. Yeah, it might have been low XG, but Mark was really talking them up, saying Cooper's got really good tactical knowledge. Navas has come in and looked absolutely brilliant. You know, that City game, that could easily. City are not guaranteed to win that. Forest could get something there. You say it's a hard fixture, and their home ones are hard, but if they only need a couple of chances, Johnson could get a goal in each of those.
What about Martial? Can I do like Martial down and then get a Liverpool defender?
Well, that's what Praz, saying about which content creator's got a similar team to yours. Praz is quite similar to mine. He was funny earlier. He was so confident. He was saying, if Sunderland win tonight, I know what my transfers are, and Trent was one of them in. He was going to. Who was he going to get rid of? He hasn't got exactly the same team as me. Trent was coming in, and he's already got Saka, and that's the move I'm thinking of making. He was doing Fernandes down to, I can't remember, maybe it was Matoma.
Mine would have to be a cheap Liverpool defender, unless, because mine would have to be like my tip. 5.9. Yeah. I need to have more of a look at it, and I need to have a look at it. It is complicated because I need to have a look at it with 25 in mind, and to think about the fact that I've got 4 free transfers with the 2 this week, and then in the next 2 weeks before 25, and I've got to prioritize the players who don't play in 25. So there's a lot of different variables to look at, and I haven't got.
There is a lot going on for sure, but I mean, don't get too blinded by the whole. We get blinded by the 25 thing. 4 transfers to do it, but if you have to have 10 in 25, it's not a disaster. That's why I'm not ruling out Matoma, because yeah, he's got a blank in 28 for sure, but I mean, Kane's got a blank in 28. You're not hearing about people getting worried about that, and he's not got the greatest fixture in 25.
Thing is, though, Shlee, we've just been saying it, haven't we? I mean, it's one thing to only have 10 in 25, but when there are teams that are doubling, and you can have a doubler instead of. Yeah, in fact,
we've already got triple Arsenal, so that's covered, and the other teams, let's be honest, are not. You've got to have at least one from them.
No, but that's again why I quite like the idea of Tarkowski and Kilman, because they're so cheap that you could just bench them moving forward.
Yeah.
And yet they're nailed unless they get injured. And so quite like that as options. And if somebody's sat there and they've got, I don't know, let's say they've got Shaw, and they're thinking actually United haven't kept a clean sheet for 4 game weeks, I'd recommend taking a hit to go Shaw down to a Tarkowski or a Kilman
in 25. Yeah,
because you're going from if they've only got 10 players. You'd say, absolutely. Well, you've definitely got the chance. Even if they just play twice, you're going to get your 4 points back.
Agreed.
So I don't know. I just I think that's what I'm going to prioritize rather than players who blank in 25.
Been refreshing the FPL page a little bit because apparently Andy was saying Shaw should get the assist for the second goal, but it's not come through yet. Because apparently he was shooting. It's really? The hole. Is he shooting or is he not?
So Leeds bring on Sam Greenwood. So I know he's not going to play, but he's I've just seen he's 4.1.
Wow, that is cheap, isn't it?
That's crazy, isn't it? So maybe Martial to Greenwood as my cash cow, and like basically kill that spot, and then upgrade in these other positions, and just strengthen the rest of my team, and with a plan to get Matoma in after 25.
Goes against your players in 25 though if you bring in a Sam Greenwood. Yeah, brilliant cash cow, but I don't know. Looks like that's in injury time now.
Yeah. No, I need to plan it out. But yeah, sorry, that was fairly dull. And the players I'm talking about are fairly dull, but a lot to think about. It's probably people in similar positions.
Right. I've got 1 free transfer, 1.8 in the bank. Noted a few moves on the side. I could roll. My biggest. So the worries I've got is Ederson's a pain in the bum, but with a double, he's not going anywhere. White is a worry with minutes risk, but I have triple Arsenal. Obviously, Nketiah is useful, but is a bit of a blanker. I couldn't say, get Saka without removing one of the Arsenal boys. Yeah, I've got Martinelli as the Arsenal mid. I do much more like Saka, but he's a hit. I can do it. I can do Martinelli to Ødegaard just for free, or I could do what I got on the left. Speaking of Tarkowski, he is my favourite option. Doherty down to him, free up the cash I need to get Saka. That is, I think I've got 0.4 left if I do that, but I think by the time deadline comes, it will be 0.2. So I probably need to do that tonight or tomorrow if I was going to save that 0.2. So that's definitely my preferred one. And FPL Reviews says that is the better option, even with the -4. I'm down to gain 6 points by, I think it's Gameweek 26, compared to rolling 0, and the Ødegaard move is 4 points. So,
and you do that tonight because who's going down tonight? Doherty and Martinelli.
Martinelli's close to a drop. I'm not sure it's tonight, but I think Saka and Tarkowski are close to rising.
Oh, are they? Okay.
But the rest of the team looks okay. I mean, De Bruyne hopefully is going to play these 2. It's the back 3 thing. Villa and Arsenal both are back 4, I think, so that should be fine. But he's a bit of a worry going forward. You've obviously confirmed that Jesus is that worry slightly on the horizon, and also I'm a bit worried about Fernandes, that if he's on pens, great, but he's not actually that involved. That's why I was asking you if you watched that game, how actually involved he was. He maybe thinking is a bit of a one-weeker, that it's been great to have those points, thanks very much, but maybe I should run. But the next 2 fixtures are really good. So there's quite a few different places I could go, but I think for me the biggest fire out of the ones I've mentioned is Martinelli, given he had that 59th minute one. And I think I just sort that out, and I also get 25 and 28 of it sorted with Tarkowski.
Yeah, I think that looks good. And I don't think you need to rush Fernandez out. I think you could go to, if you can find the money to do it, you could go Fernandez or De Bruyne to Salah for 25 if you want to do that and cover that. But yeah, it's just it's annoying, isn't it? Because these players, a few weeks ago, the idea of Martinelli suddenly not getting in the team would have been unthinkable, wouldn't it? When he was scoring for fun, but it can just change so quickly, can't it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was before Trossard came in, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But apparently he's not been too great. James was saying playing at FPL that he's maybe getting a bit tired. Maybe that Trossard move is also affecting him a bit. He's looking over his shoulder a bit more. Have you considered getting rid of Shaw? See, I think Andy was talking about maybe downgrading Shaw, and I know they got Leeds who are maybe back to their energetic pressing best, but United have got Leeds and Leicester. I mean, Iheanacho suddenly back for Leicester. Maybe both those games finish like 3-3, but I can see United winning both of those. So I'm not mega in a rush to get rid. Liverpool after the blank is maybe a bit tricky. Maybe it's just that we've got other priorities.
Interesting to see if he gets given that assist. I mean, he obviously is involved going forward, isn't he? But they're just all of a sudden they're not keeping clean sheets now, are they? So
yeah. Any other thoughts there? I mean, Andreas mentioned not ideal, but again, that's part of the reason I was really keen to listen to that Clash of the Correspondents. They think that'll be a really low-scoring game. Forest keeping it tight. Fulham are quite nervy at the moment. They've not quite found their rhythm, even though it's at Craven Cottage. They were saying that's going to be 1-0, 0-0, 1-1.
Yeah. I don't think I'd play him instead of any of the players you've got there. No.
Okay.
No, I don't think I would. I mean, who? Sure, maybe.
Well, maybe one. Yeah, I don't think so. More as well, just to sanity check on the transfers. Is there anything else you can see that you think? I mean, partly, I did say to you, I was probably maybe 15% tempted to wild card because I'm so peeved that I've got rid of Kane and I could sort all these problems out and I wanna.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. I don't love getting Tarkowski this week, but obviously if you have to because of price rises, but there'll always be a different way to do it. I think I'm only going to want him in 25 because he did well, and that's obviously why his price is going to rise. But
he would only be for 25. I wouldn't play him between now and then. But he is just
he's
ready-made 25. But yeah,
Martinelli to Saka. What about? Could you do bit hokey cokey on the way and do like Martinelli to Mahrez and just have a little go with triple
I've got
City.
I've got 3 City already.
Oh, of course you got Edison. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. And I guess also you're saving yourself a transfer down the line, and Saka's probably a better bet anyway, isn't
he? Yeah. Who would you at the moment are you thinking of captain in 25? Looking at the fixtures there, are you thinking
Salah.
It's got to be? You think Salah, not an Arsenal player? Because they're doubling, obviously. We've both got Saka probably by them.
Actually, yeah, I probably will captain Saka.
Because again, that's
annoying, isn't it? Because if you're going to break the team to get Salah in, you think, I'll captain him, because there'll be so many people who will captain Salah that week.
Yeah.
But actually, if Arsenal, because obviously they've got 3 games between now and then, because if they show the form that they showed against Everton, where their XG was super low, then maybe we'll all be put off captaining Arsenal players by then. But if Arsenal come back to the way they've been to kind of rise to the top of the league, then yeah, it probably makes sense to captain somebody like Saka, doesn't it?
Yeah. Okay. And this week, 100% Haaland at the moment?
Yeah. I think there'll be quite a few triple captain chits on him, and I think with his kind of baseline ownership being much higher than Rashford's anyway, I think he'll be over 200%. So
yeah,
and he can go off in any game. But yeah, I think you're right. I think your Saka and Tarkowski moves work. Have you kind of planned out who you're kind of playing whether you would play Tarkowski between now and
I wouldn't.
25.
I don't think. Yeah, I think those three at the back, unless I did change White later, fine.
Yeah, White is worrying, isn't he? Maybe I do just need to prioritize White and Martial, but maybe Brennan Johnson and Gabriel are the boring but safe play.
But yeah, it's tricky when you've had the doubles announced and not the team you were saying beforehand. So it was probably throw all the ideas out there and then digest them later.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just a shame that, I mean, obviously it's great for Jesus, but it's a shame for me and a shame for Eddie Nketiah that Jesus is back, because that was going to be the obvious move, was just getting Nketiah in. But now with that, with their double in 25, I don't think Nketiah will be playing all the minutes in 25.
So before he goes, I'd absolutely love it if him, Saka and White were the Arsenal high scorers this weekend. But I mean, that's another point that Prads was making. He's really good, Prads, that Arsenal's points are very spread at the moment, aren't they? A goal goes in and you don't know who of those three up front are going to get it.
Yeah,
and,
it's funny because I think it's kind of, I always almost feel like it's less likely to be Saka, but his XG is lower, but he's a better player, I think, than them. So,
well, he's only had one double-digit return all season. This is one of the slight overthinking things on my mind, whereas Odegaard, I think, has had 4.
Yeah,
and I think
same with Matoma. FPL James was saying that Planet FPL James was saying that Matoma hasn't had a single double-digit return.
Matoma, he got one last week, and he got one a couple of weeks ago.
I think he only got 9, didn't he?
No, Matoma got 11 this week.
Did he? Maybe he was saying it was his first one.
No, second,
I'm sure he said
10 last week as well. Maybe pre-bonus.
I don't know what James
3 bonus in the last 2.
I don't know what James is on about then. Yeah.
Anyway. Right, straight into 50 minutes, so we better wrap this up.
Yeah, indeed. I know I've got some planning to do, so I might do a little bit now. Very
good. Okay, anything else from you, Nick?
No, all good. Best of luck, everyone. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And if you comment on the YouTube video, we will get back to you.
Indeed. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Nick. Bye.
Bye-bye.